What's going on, guys and girls? It's GhostRobo, and welcome to the world premiere of Titanfall 2 single-player gameplay. This is the teaser that was released a couple months ago, but I had the extreme privilege to go to Respawn and see a bunch of the campaign, play a bunch of the multiplayer, and it is all freaking glorious. So I'll have multiplayer videos later, but I had to bring you the single-player footage. First, Respawn was kind enough to give me some to share with you as long as I gave you my impressions and commentated over it. They didn't have a campaign in the first one. People really wish it was there, and boy have they delivered. So without further ado, guys and girls, Titanfall 2 single-player gameplay, let's do it. And already you're seeing a very cool and interesting vibe from this game. I got to see a bunch of levels, boss battles, Titan combat, pilot combat, dialogue choices, story points, and it looks super sweet. I'll tell you all about it as the footage goes through. This is the critical character of the game, BT-7274, your Titan. And Respawn made very clear that the most important component of this campaign is the interaction between pilot and Titan. That's something that people really felt a bond with in the original Titanfall. It's a major part of their lore, and it is the foundation of the single player here in this sequel. And it looks like they've done a really nice job of realizing that in a way that doesn't feel cheesy or tacky. They have these little dialogue choices throughout to make you feel like you're really part of the adventure. The Titan is voiced well. Your character seems like a cool, good guy, and there's some really interesting moments of Titan and pilot interaction. My favorite being when the Titan winds up and throws you across this giant chasm, and he makes a goofy joke. I don't have exact footage of that, but it was a really cool moment and just kind of a taste of what's to come in terms of it's not just going to be, oh, Titan lands, you jump in. They're really realizing the Titan as a character this time, and there's a lot more variety with the Titans. Whether it's single player or multiplayer, they feel more like fully fledged characters as opposed to just a vehicle that deals more damage. They've got more abilities, there's more variety, and overall I just love the way they play, and I'm sure that will carry over into single player. In terms of a general feel, I think that Titanfall 2 single player bears more in resemblance to Halo than Call of Duty, which might be initially what you would think the game would, be exactly like, given the pedigree and history of Respawn. But no, in fact, it borrows more from Halo in terms of bigger battlefields, a diverse cast of enemies, very eclectic and interesting environments, and more open spaces, more arena spaces, as opposed to just sort of the Disney World ride-through shooting gallery approach that Call of Duty typically takes. Now, Infinite Warfare, who knows what they do with that? It looks like they're trying to expand things out a little bit more. But I really liked what I saw here because it seemed like they're taking full advantage of the Titanfall universe. Now, in the first game, we saw hints of that in terms of like dinosaurs, flying crazy creatures, and we were like, what are those? Where are they from? How do they play a bigger role? And you never found out. Titanfall 1 was a super fun game that was very slim on content. Boy, oh boy, Titanfall 2 seems to have that covered. Like I said, I'll have multiplayer videos soon. Played a ton of modes, played a ton of maps, ton of weapons, ton of abilities, and it was absolutely awesome. So the fact that it controls so well, all of that carries over to single player, and I really like that your Titan is kind of an all Titan in single player. Based on what I saw, you're able to change out his loadout on the fly, which was kind of cool, because then the Titan doesn't just like, oh, go through the whole campaign, with the flamethrower, the flame fire loadout. He has, multiple loadouts, and obviously the wall run and movement here is something that I think is done better than in any other shooter. It just has such a crisp feel to it, and you'll see they're using the spaces to really advocate movement and add a platforming element that isn't present in most military shooters. The level design and the environmental choices seem to really suggest that that's going to be a pivotal part of the gameplay, and not just something that, oh, like you can be cool and run on walls. There is a training tutorial in Titanfall 2 that is that. It's just running through a course, running on walls, learning the controls. But in single player, from what I saw, whether it was in these more, industrial factory type levels or in the more organic dinosaur planet type levels, it seemed like you were using your skills to actually improve your positioning, to improve your vantage points, to better attack, and also to take down a bunch of enemies that approach from different directions and different types of enemies. You've seen in this gameplay the dino type enemies at the beginning, which you do I'm sure take on bigger, badder, more vicious versions of throughout the campaign. You've seen the human enemies. There was also robotic enemies. There were enemy titans, and that was something that was super cool as well. I got to see some of the villain-type characters and the way that they handled battles with them. They definitely felt like boss battles, and like you're going to be working your way through a series of big Titan-on-Titan boss battles, which I think is a smart and cool way to sort of amp up the intensity and bring you some set-piece moments that will be memorable well beyond the credit roll. That's something that a game like Call of Duty or a lot of military shooters struggle with, and boss battles aren't for everyone, I understand that, but I like the fact that Titanfall 2 has really explored their universe, explored their lore, and delivered a bigger, bolder vision for a campaign than just, hey, let's walk through these lanes of combat in, some futuristic cities for a few hours. And like this stuff right here, I mean, it looks gorgeous, which is awesome, but it also gives it a bit of its own flair, being, again, in more organic and lush, weird new worlds. And I don't know if any of the dialogue options lead to any story choices or alternate paths or anything, but again, it's just a nice way to give you a little bit of extra input onto this character. And your character starts out as sort of a grunt, and then through a battle has to sort of assume the role of pilot, and that's pretty stereotypical. But after that, when I saw, all was unique, and I think the boss battles are going to be really something cool. It almost felt Borderlands-esque in the way that the boss enemy's name popped up on the screen, and then he dropped in, he was ready to go, and I'm sure their Titans will probably have souped up versions of things you've seen in multiplayer, or maybe totally unique weapons, and I hope that they're able to really keep the gameplay diverse throughout. I like the fact that rather than just, okay, let's take the multiplayer maps and make a run and gun, FPS with, corridors and, a little bit of wall running, that they really said, okay, and they talked about this when I was at the studio, what is special about our game? What can our game do well? What is our universe? And it was really cool to hear the game director and the different, very critical focal people of the development team talk about that they started out just prototyping what was great about Titanfall. They had people make cool weapons, they had people make cool levels, cool enemies, cool Titans, and then they really tried to get down to the core, as the Salvo core goes online, the core of what made Titanfall special and what was going to make Titanfall 2 a game to remember. And that was sort of the beginnings of single player, and where they came upon the style of the campaign, and where they came upon that Titan pilot relationship, which I think is good, because something that a lot of FPSs lack is a top-notch story. And now I have no way of knowing if this story will end up being top-notch, but given the fact that they're humanizing the Titan and making a relationship sort of the central point of the plot, it gives me hope that I will be more invested in this storyline than I would if it's just whiz bang boom bam, we're going from place to place. Because as much as I think it's a great thrill ride to do that, it doesn't really ever, for me, hit home in a way that something like The Last of Us or Uncharted or BioShock or Fallout for some people, or Dead Space, or games like that have more of an impact. And now, not all of those have amazing written stories, but they do have characters or relationships or moments or interactions that are very fulfilling, and I hope that Titanfall 2 can deliver that. I gotta say that I think there's reason for people to be concerned about Titanfall 2. The first game was really cool, but it kind of blew its load early in the beta, and then people lost interest fast. It felt like they relied too heavily on the NPCs, and the multiplayer wasn't diverse or fully fleshed out enough. But I am insanely impressed with what they're doing with Titanfall 2 on both ends of the spectrum. I can't speak fully on multiplayer yet, but when you see those videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. And for single player, I really was happy that they went a route that isn't just, what you would expect 100%. Like, they're doing still the shooter thing, obviously, a wide array of weapons or wide array of levels, but they really seem to nail what makes Titanfall cool, translate that to single player, and deliver us an awesome experience. So I'm super looking forward to it. I hope you guys enjoyed this first look at single player gameplay. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll have more action for you soon from the multiplayer side of things, and I'll be covering the game, obviously, upon its release in October. Thank you so much to all of you for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel and making cool trips like my trip to Respawn possible. Again, thanks to those guys over there for 1, giving me the chance to come check out the game, 2, giving me the footage, and 3, making a darn awesome game that is Titanfall 2. Until next time, guys and girls, thanks so much for watching. I will have more, and I want to tell you more, but we're still waiting on the multiplayer embargo. When that's up, though, you'll have those videos. Until that time, though, drink so much, all. Thanks again. I love you so much, and we will see you all later.